Welcome, my all-star family. Oh, we got one more coming in, too. I love when they just keep coming in. Hi, welcome. All right, so we try to start on time. I try to end on time, too, because your time is valuable. So I can't thank you enough for showing up and being part of tonight, okay? So you have a choice. Here's what I'm asking, is that you show up with an open heart and an open mind. You might hear some things that you've heard before. You might hear some things you don't agree with, okay? Always have an open heart and an open mind. If we want to discuss it, you're welcome to. You're welcome to call me out on things. You're welcome to let me go on tangents. This is interactive, okay? So feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. You can do personal, you can do generic, you can ask for someone else, okay? But right now is about value, and time is valuable. What we do with our time matters, because I recognize that when we choose to show up in one spot, it means we're sacrificing somewhere else. And I'm not above that. I have 6- and 7-year-old girls I would love to spend more time with. I see them in the morning for 1 hour and 1 hour at night. I only get Friday after school with them, Saturday and Sunday. And half the weekends I'm traveling because I teach other chiropractors how to run their offices. Time is valuable. And what we do with our time matters. So welcome to the All-Star event and how we're going to set health as a priority. And so the first question I love to open up with is, how do you know you're healthy? And this is not a generic or philosophical question. I want to hear your answers. How does someone know if they're healthy?
Not short of breath.
Not short of breath. That's a symptom.
Eat, sleep, enjoy themselves at a what you would think would be a normal thing.
I hate the word normal.
I know. Well, that's why I said
Normal versus common. Oh, hey, Dr. Julie, can you grab one of the spinal decay charts for me and just have it on the side for me, please? Speaking of normal. Common. That's what I like. Yeah.
Energy level.
Energy level.
Of energy, feeling pain physically, and also like mental state. Like, are you mentally?
I like where you're going with this. So physical, mental. That's part of the definition of health. In fact, yeah, you can leave it down there. Say it again. Vision. If your eyes are working, if your body is functioning the way it's supposed to function. That's my personal definition of health. Is your body doing what it's supposed to be doing when it's supposed to be doing it? Right? The Dorland's Medical Dictionary of Health is defined as the optimal balance between physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the presence or absence of disease or infirmities. Okay? The normal part. Your body's doing normal, right?
Not as eloquently, but
So many times, though, we're defining our health, or I feel fine. I'm not sick. So here's my definition, though. If I went to, let's say, a buffet and ate some bad food, hepatitis A, whatever, it's food sickness, right? And then my body's reaction is to what? Throw up, diarrhea. Am I healthy or am I sick? My body is doing what it's supposed to be doing. But if I have symptoms, what's the American's typical reaction? Go to the doctor, go to the pharmacy. If I have a fever, let's put Tylenol on it. Let's bring that fever down. Now, I'm not against medicine. Medicine saves lives, right? At the right time. We are extremely lucky to live in a first world country that when the cause is evident, we have emergency teams to fix us. But what we're failing to do is chronic conditions. And we're allowing chronic conditions to be a pandemic. What's the leading cause of death? Heart disease. What's the second one? Cancer, collectively. Lung cancer being the top. What's next? Diabetes in the top. It depends on what list you're looking at, but it can be anywhere between the 4th one or the 6th one or the 10th one, depending on if they died from actual diabetes or complications of diabetes. And then the 4th one is iterogenic. Anyone know what that is? Iterogenic means medically induced by mistake or prescriptions. Yeah. And yet people are afraid to go to a chiropractor when the leading cause of death is done in the medical profession. I still trust the medical profession when the cause is evident. And that's what chiropractic is we look to the spine for the cause of disease and making sure that the host is well taken care of. And we'll get into that in a second here. So the human potential. Someone has said it. She already left. What is the human body's capability of living up to now?
85,
78.
100,
120.
120, 125. Yeah. Yeah.
Do they know what they're doing?
Yes, we do. The oldest living person on record lived to be 122. She was from France. Her secret, which has next slide anyway, but red wine a day, bacon and olive oil.
Blue zone.
Blue zones is another conversation too. I haven't fully read the book. I'm in the middle of that. She outlived her partner, her daughter, and her grandson. Yeah. Her daughter died of cancer in her 50s, and her grandson died in a car accident around the age of 35 to 40. Yeah, not natural causes. Yeah. So she's passed, that lady. We had a switch in owning the role of who's the oldest living just this year. So it was a lady out in California at 115. She had someone just a few months behind her. So she passed, maybe it was February of last year, actually. And then now the oldest living woman is 115 in Iowa. And they all say something like they're walking. Everything about the human potential is lifestyle and a little bit genetics. But how many people, or maybe you've heard this yourself, were told like, oh, my parents have a bad back, I'm going to have a bad back. Or my parents have diabetes, I'll have diabetes. Or whatever, my parents died of a heart attack at 64, I'm going to die. We hear that, right? I've had multiple people tell me about the bad back situation. Oh, guess what? None of that is hereditary. And if it is genetics, it accounts for less than 10% of your genetic makeup is your health. What they're finding is it is all environment. How we choose to take care of ourselves matters. So, lifestyle. How long can you live without exercise? Years. How long can you live without food? Days. 28 to 40 days, depending on what liquids you're also getting. How long can you live without water? How long can you live without air? 4 to 6 minutes. How long can you live without your nervous system? So if in the hierarchy of what we need to be taking care of ourselves and doing for a priority in our health, what are you doing for your nervous system? Anyone teach you that in school?
Probably, but that was a long time ago.
No, they're not. They're not. No one's learning how to take care of our nervous system. In fact, you could exercise the best. You can have the best food, like we're talking keto, intermittent fasting, organic. You can have the best water quality. You can have the best air quality, good posture so your lungs are filling up right. But if your nervous system isn't getting all the signals to the brain, are you healthy? What if you don't have any symptoms? You're still not healthy, and that's exactly what a subluxation is. It's a misaligned vertebrae putting pressure on a nerve, and we're talking a 2 to 6 degree movement. That's all it takes. In fact, a nerve, if we're talking about the vertebrae, then we got a cute little donut disc right in there. The nerve, so this is one vertebrae, the disc, and another vertebrae. The nerve comes out of this hole called a foramina. If this moves just a little bit, is that hole going to be less? It's actually going to be less on one side and more on the other side because it's a whole segment. This is just my 2D figure. A 3D figure will have more on one and less on the other. There are also up to 28 other things that go in through there. Vessels, veins, sinew, tissue. So it's not just the nerve coming out of here. So we can have pressure on a nerve. A nerve has to be occluded, 50% pressure in order to have a symptom. So what does it feel like to be half dead? Feels like pain. Isn't that crazy? And yet, low back pain affects 80 to 90% of Americans in some point of their lifetime. And yet only 50% have ever tried going to a chiropractor, and it's the most conservative treatment you could ever have. But what's one of the first things they'll do in the medical system? Medications. The medications fix that problem. They mask the symptom. Chiropractic is the study of what makes a man live. Medicine is the study of what makes a man die and how to fix the disease. Do you see the philosophy and the mindset? When we study life, we know how to live. When we study disease, we know how to kill a disease. So, what you're doing, all of you, I'm speaking to the choir here, you are now under chiropractic care, which helps your nervous system. There's other areas in your life, like getting the most amount of air, like posture, and filling up your lungs completely, getting the right amount of water. How much water should we be drinking a day? Gallons typical, depending on, for a full-size adult. But you can, smaller people, and I can't tell you, like there's a specific equation. The equation they like to share is half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, half of that 75, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water a day. That's not true for everyone, but that is a really good goal for what we should be doing. And if you drink coffee or tea, it doesn't count. In fact, if you're drinking any type of caffeine, it's going to dehydrate you. So you need to measure 2 cups of water for 1 cup of coffee. Okay? Food. If you ever want to have that conversation with me, great. How long should we be exercise? What's the standard for exercise?
Half hour.
45 minutes.
It depends on what your goal is. It's a half hour a day, 5 times a week, just to maintain your weight. 4 times a week. Harvard study. If you want to lose weight, it's going to be 45 minutes a day for 4 to 5 times a week. Do you think we're getting that much exercise? Well, here's what patients will tell me. They'll be like, well, look, I got 13,000 steps in today, Dr. Sandy. I'm like, guess what? You do that every day. Your body's used to it. Yep. You got to go above and beyond with purpose in order to make a difference with exercise. And let me tell you, exercise matters when you're eating. Because a lot of people will be like, well, I worked out today. I'm going to have an extra slice of pizza. No. That is not going to offset enough in order to make a difference. And don't be what you eat. You know, they say you are what you eat. So don't be fast, cheap, or convenient, right? Be prepped. So the largest growing population, it's not the largest, but one of the largest growing population right now is those living to be 100 or more. The centurions. The world was home to nearly 500,000 centurions in 2015. No, I got this backwards. The world was home to nearly 500,000 centurions in 2015, more than 4 times as many as 1990. In what this little map shows that in 2050, we're expected over 3.5 million. That's worldwide. It's one of the largest growing populations. So tell me, how many of you want to live to be 100? 3 people. Great. I can't wait for the rest of you to die. I'll go to your funerals and bring some flowers. Here's the deal. Those of you that didn't raise your hands, why don't you want to live to be 100?
Depends on the mental state. And are you capable of taking? Right. How dependent are you?
That's our biggest fear, is becoming useless and not independent. It depends on quality of life. People are afraid to live to be 100 because what we think of being 100 is broke, crippled, and alone. But more and more people are making it to age 100 by accident. What would it look like if you made it to 100 on purpose? The goal would be healthy, wealthy, and well-connected. But COVID threw a huge loop in that. We saw the isolation studies and what people still sometimes choose to do and isolate. Or even if you're sitting in a room full of people, if we're all on our phones, that is a form of isolation. We are here to connect. We need each other. I believe that whole life purpose and meaning in life is just to connect with others. So here's what the 100-year lifestyle is defined as. What it is living a healthy, passionate, purposeful life every day for your life for 100 years and beyond. It's great relationships with multiple generations and multiple circles of people. lifelong learning, activity and adventure, financial freedom, abundance, and independence. The perfect balance of exploration, playtime, and fun combined with meaningful work. Maximizing your genetic capabilities and making the most of your time, energy, and talents. Keeping your original body parts functioning at full capacity. Stimulating your mind to keep it sharp. Accepting challenges, embracing change, and adapting to the unexpected. Balancing the need for immediate gratification and a secure future. Knowing and trusting yourself, and it's yours to customize. Because when you're independent, you can still do what you want. It is not what's typical. Rotting away as a human preservative in a nursing home. Abusing your body, masking symptoms with drugs, and then continuing to abuse yourself until one organ after the other has been removed or replaced. It's all work and no play. It's abusive relationships or isolation. Financial survival for 35 years and then barely squeaking by on Social Security and Medicare. Insignificant retirement where you become a meaningless number in a long line of an outdated system. Wearing out your body in the first 50 years and then suffering the consequences during the second 50 years. Accumulating wealth in the first 50 years and destroying relationships along the way, leaving you nobody to share it with, and creating wealth at the price of your health and denying yourself the good things in life. How many people do you know that are not living the 100-year lifestyle? We all know someone. And for some reason, our society thinks that's okay, and we're not really doing anything about it. Number one, it's a choice, and it's not my problem. Well, tonight, I'm making it my problem. You're making it your problem because you've chosen to show up here today, and I need help. Like, I can't stand having this conversation over and over to the same people. Like, that's where we need help, is tell people. I don't care if they become a patient or not. They never need to be in my office again. I'm recording. It's going to go online. Share the link as soon as I get this posted. You all know someone that needs to hear something that got said today. So I need your help in sharing it. Let's talk about you, though. Maybe not yet. So here's the deal. What's your likelihood of actually living to 100 with the way we are now? Anyone got a guess? I don't know. It's less than 1% as Americans. The chances of you living to 100 is less than 1%. However, there's a little caveat in here on the next one. Less than 1% of people living to the age 100 or older, referred to as centurions, make up less than 1% of the U.S. population. Research increasingly reveals that a number of variables impact the odds of living to 100, such as mindset, daily activity, diet, and a little bit of genetics. But what part of genetics makes up for our well-being? 10%, maybe 15 or 17%. So this goes by per tens of thousands of people in developed countries. For every 10,000 people above the age of 65, Japan has 3 centurions, 3.5. The US only has 1.7. But the US has the most centurions overall, done by a study in 2015, but fewer per capita because we're a larger country compared to those other countries. So we have more people that can live up to that. So, what did centurions say? I'm going to skip ahead here. Centurions say, here's a secret, great things happen when you have the wherewithal to stick to your commitment to change. Change is inevitable. Embracing change is what we need to do. Okay? You find yourself respected by people that you respect. You create a life story that inspires other people, and you show other people what is possible. Have the grit to see it through for your ideal 100-year lifestyle. And if not now, then when? Is this something that we start doing in 20 years from now? No. Every day we have a choice on what we do, and it starts with making just one decision differently. Of all the countries ranked in the world for quality of health, the US is number 48. Does that surprise anyone?
No.
I used to be using 1998 numbers. The US was ranking 74. So we've actually increased. Okay. So that's not horrible. So, but what are we spending all our money on? Per capita, it's all drugs, right? So we account for less than 5% of the world's population, but we consume over 70% of all the drugs made in the world. Significant spending is not going to go in the next 5 years towards drugs, but more towards oncology, obesity, and neuroscience, while the total net medicine spending is projected to remain unchanged. Oncology, cancer, obesity, weight, neuroscience, mental issues. That's where all the money is going to be going in the next 5 years. This paper came out last year. So it's a projection. So compared with other peer nations, the United States has had the highest per capita spending at $1,432 per person on medications alone. That's staggering. So if we're spending the most money per people and consuming the most amount of drugs, shouldn't we be the healthiest? No, it's because money and drugs aren't the answer. We know that. It's daily choices, and that's what we're here to inspire you to do. So is it, like you guys already talked about, quantity over quality? Well, I'll live to 100 if I'm still able to do everything by myself. And I've seen it. My oldest patient that I adjusted was 101 years old. And he went to a chiropractor for 40 years. So you guys took these little assessment tests. Did you guys add them up? Yeah, go ahead. Spend a second to add them up because this is important. You added yours up? Yeah, you're so smart. No, if you guys like this stuff, it's coming from 100yearlifestyle.com. Dr. Eric Plasker. So I put in my own stuff in there too. But to drive the point and where the assessment comes from, it's free online. You can go Google 100-Year Lifestyle, Dr. Eric Plasker. It's a 298-page book, lifestyle, everything. Pick a color. Pick a color. Thank you. Pick a color. Pick a color for me.
Orange for me.
Oh.
All right, make sure not to write on your index card yet. All right, you guys got your scores? Raise your hand if you scored between 0 and 35. No one wants to admit that, huh? Raise your hand if you scored between 36 and 70. Raise your hand if you scored between 71 and 105. The majority of us. Raise your hand if you scored between 106 and 140. Oh, we got a few people on their way to living 100 or more. So if someone were to score between 0 and 35, what it says is slam on your brakes now and change your life. Okay? You are either in denial at the end of your rope or just don't care. No one was in there. So the next one, 36 to 70, stop killing yourself slowly. At the rate you're going, you are headed for a deteriorating and depressing extended life. You have no vision, poor habits, and lack of sense of purpose. You're using crisis as the motivation to take action on the habits that you are good for, or that are good for you, rather than embracing the quality of life you deserve. The majority of us score between 71 and 105. This is get ready to go from good to great. You're probably on a roller coaster filled with ups and downs. You're enjoying your life, but you're out of balance with swings that go too far to the extreme. Some things are working well for you, while other areas of your life are out of control. So address the areas of the 100-year lifestyle that will impact your life the most, and you will find that your life gets easier. Your results go up, and you start having a lot more fun. You will add better health, finances, financial security, peace of mind, and purpose to an already solid foundation. Take the lifestyle leap and discover how to attract new friends, find new passions, and achieve the balance you are looking for by embracing the ideas in the chapters of the book, which I said you can go find online and download it. It's free. If your score was 106 to 140, enjoy a sensational century. You are on your way. You are living your dreams while you plan for the future. Both at the same time, you enjoy your work and feel like you can do it forever. The good news is that by following this plan, you won't be something you have to do, but something you can choose to do if you want to. You are in good health. You have goals to achieve and a world of opportunity ahead of you. Embracing the 100-year lifestyle will ensure that you enjoy your legacy while you are alive. Enjoy youthful energy and passion and make the most of this precious gift called life. That sounds good, right? You guys know where you're at and where you're headed, but it takes one step at a time. So change happens at one choice at a time. And one of the biggest things I can tell you for your spine is sorry about my eyes. I'm not crying, I promise. It just gets to a certain point of night, and if there gets like one spot of mascara, and they just start going off. It's posture. Posture accounts for, like, where's the old lady that used to stick her thumb in your shoulder and be like, stand up straight, be that. Be that for everyone around you. Because it literally adds years to life and life to your years. Because you guys remember, even in the video, day 2 that we show you, how long should you be able to live and still have this curve?
120 years.
120 years. We've been saying this for over a decade now. But most people are in phase 1 by the time of, how old?
30, 15.
14. When I graduated chiropractic school 11 years ago, we used to say most people are in this phase by the time they're 26. Fast forward just 5 years later, we moved it to 14 because of this.
Oh, yeah.
It's the year that technology came out for video games, smartphones that were constantly doing this. It's called text neck. That's what they call this now. I took x-rays on a 15-year-old boy last week who has L5-S1 degeneration grade 2 out of 5 because of sitting and playing like this all the time. Our life expectancy and quality of life is not going up. Our life expectancy might be going up if I really look at the numbers, but very slowly. And compared to other countries, it's not good. Do you know what the life expectancy is in the US? It might have been on a slide. It was 78 just 2 years ago. I used to use that number. When I looked it up today to update everything, it was 80.8. Okay, that put us at number 23 for a number of countries that are equivalent with the amount of money that they have too, right? So if this doesn't get taken care of at the age of 14 to 25, what's going to happen? It progresses. More arthritis and degeneration. Is arthritis normal? No, it's common. And if this doesn't get taken care of between the ages of 26 and 45, it's going to look like this. And this becomes painful. That's that occlusion. Osteophytes, looking at surgery. So, I mean, our posture, our x-rays, a picture paints 1,000 words. They're a window into how well we've taken care of ourselves. So we need to start taking care of ourselves. Also, like we were talking about the caffeine dehydrating you. When I bring up these discs, these are like 90% water, jelly donuts, right? So if you're dehydrated, guess what happens to these guys? They shrink, they bulge out, and you're at higher risk of herniated disc. And that's one of the things we see cause for low back pain a lot. I think it counts for something like 30% of those. So that's all I got going for that one. Someone with the little index cards that I gave you guys, what I would really ask for you to do is write something that you took away from tonight. Something that when a patient walks in tomorrow morning, because what I would like to do with this is hang it up on our glass wall over there. That when patients walk in tomorrow morning and they see something, how are you going to inspire them based off something that you heard tonight? So take a moment, write down some words of wisdom. You can go ahead and turn that off.